Hey guys, it's been a few days. I was sick and I didn't really get to play too much, but I'm here with my final build update for the Cold Spark Chronomancer guy starter. I wanted to keep this build nice and budget friendly and cheap, and that's becoming increasingly hard to do so. So I'm going to make this as like a last checkpoint before I swap off of Cold Spark to just good old Lightning Spark. That will cost a lot more currency, and I want to just start that as like its own thing and say I spent X amount on this since then. But it's still good to put out this build, and I've even made a build planner for it. I know a few people requested it. I would have made one sooner, but yeah, I've just been sick. I've not really played too much. In terms of the character itself, if I just go in game, I managed to get up to level 89. I got my 4th ascendancy. Sorry, my tree is a mess because I was just making this written guide. I decided to take Temporal Rift, and I tried it out a few times, and it's alright. Pretty much the only time that I end up using this, for example, is with Mana Tempest, and then you can you can Temporal Rift, and then you get all of your mana back. It's pretty nice, because remember, the core concept of this build is we take damage from our mana as well as our life. If you're out of mana, you're much more vulnerable, you're more susceptible to getting one shot, and this build, its main weakness is just getting one shot. So other than that, I have finished up the Atlas quest stuff, you know, when you have to go through like your T1s through to your T15s. I did all of this on like the same gear pretty much as the previous video. The core concept still remains the same. Cloak of Flame, Midnight Braid, and the Call of the Brotherhood unique. As you go along, obviously you're trying to upgrade your life and your mana on your gear. You're trying to get as much resistance as you can to cap your resistances. I did the whole thing on 65 Chaos Res. It was enough. You still die sometimes, like the game isn't perfect. I'm not perfect. The build isn't perfect. But my point is, this build can get through all of the mapping content on a cheap budget. You really don't need like 5 divines or whatever. This build is a good starter, but ultimately it just won't scale as hard as the Stormweaver builds and just some other builds. With that said, check out the written guide. I've left some trade searches just because I know that some people might not have played a lot of Path of Exile, or maybe they just don't do too much trading. I've left 2 links for each of the rare item category pieces. One of them is the weighted sum search, and one of them is just 4 to 5 useful mods that I recommend for that armor piece. I would recommend just taking a look at both based on your budget and trying to get the best thing that you can. I did stream most of this gameplay for this character, probably gonna either level a new character or I'm just gonna start gearing up for the end game version of this build, which will be no Cloak of Flame, no Call of the Brotherhood, probably 4k-ish mana, 3.5k mana. I would love 3.5k mana. If you have any questions regarding the passive tree, it's all in the written guide. I even included the weapon swap setups that we're using now for curses. As you can see, the main draw here is the exposure effect wheel and just the curse effect goodness. Curse effect stuff here, curse duration, curse activation speed. Some example gear that's relatively close, if not pretty much spot on with the gear that I am using. The main thing I want to stress with this build is that it was a good starter for getting through maps, but if you're going to invest in this build, I honestly think that you would be better off leveling a Stormweaver if you want to play a Sorceress. It's just a much better scaling ascendancy. This is something that was obvious from the get-go. I'm not a delusional person. I'm not someone that would lie to you. I've tried my best to make a unique and fun build for my purposes, and I have enjoyed playing it, but I just can't deny that some of the single target damage is lacking, and I feel like these problems wouldn't be a thing if I just picked the big damage ascendancy. For me, I have a bit of like a guilty conscience. My purpose isn't to bait people, it's to talk about my journey and give examples of what worked for me. I know that some people have tried to emulate what I've done, and I've helped them. I've spent time explaining stuff, helping them find items on the trade site, and you know, that's all good and all, but I would also like to be able to provide more successful builds than this. I'm probably going to be experimenting a lot more with, you know, just everything else that we have. This is one ascendancy, this is one build type in a brand new game, and I don't just want to be stuck to it for the rest of my time playing. It's already been basically 2 weeks, and it's been a great time. I played 100 or so hours. I haven't played like 200 plus, like some people have been putting in serious hours, and I bet they're having a good time in the end game. But I'm excited to see what I end up building next. I really want to do something with crossbows. I want to do something with Poisonous Concoction, but it's currently bugged, so I want to see if they fix that first. Any questions, as usual, I'm happy to answer them. I always help with people on stream, people who comment on my videos. I wake up at like 5 AM and I've got comments, and I don't even get up to go to the toilet. I answer everyone first. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Everything that you need is in this guide, but if you do need me to answer your questions, if you do need me to talk about something, then you know where to find me in the comments on Twitch or even on Discord. In the background I would have had my Trial Master fight just going on, and you can evidently see that I'm not too happy with this build currently, but it's cheap, okay? I'm being really negative, but it's just like a personal habit of mine. I'm really critical of myself. The build is cheap, the build is durable, it's not immortal, but you can get things done on a budget, and at the start of a new league or a new game, that's not a bad thing, especially with how expensive the Archmage builds are. So keep that in mind. If you're picking this build and you're going to play, get some currency, get some gear, and then either scale this build higher or take it up to a Stormweaver and see what you can do over there. Thanks for watching this video. If you do play this build, good luck. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope to see you in a new POE2 video soon.